Welcome to the Simply Mindful Wellness Podcast. Join your host, Tracy, the Mindful Wellness Coach, as she takes a deeper look into nourishing your body, mind, and soul. Because being well creates the freedom to live life the way you want.
Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of the Simply Mindful Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Richardson, the Mindful Wellness Coach and Holistic Health Practitioner, owner of Hybrid Therapy. So welcome to the listeners and now our watchers over on YouTube. Today I'm joined by Jem, all the way out in New Zealand, and we're going to be talking about quantum healing. So welcome. How are you today?
Well, I'm pretty good, given that finally we've got the time, well, sort of to be here. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
we've had
a
few issues, haven't we, with our time zones? But we're here, we're doing it. So I am so excited for this talk today. So if you could just share with the listeners to start off with then who you are and what you do and why you do it.
Oh my goodness. Well, thanks for having me. I know there has been some coordination, but as I would say, it's aligned timing, right? If
Absolutely.
Things, when they align, they align. So I'm Jem, and traditionally trained as a musculoskeletal physio, and also went on and studied into acupuncture as well. And then, of course, kept seeking, keep searching, keep looking for the answers, things that, weren't adding up and that weren't making sense when when working with other people and helping them restore health and wellness. So you keep digging for a little bit more into finding the pieces of the puzzle, and then, of course, looking for solutions as well. And so that took me on into the discovering frequencies and how they are very, very powerful and effective in restoring health and neurological signals in the system. And then that took me even further after working with frequencies for it must be around 5 years now in humans, and probably the last 3 at least with animals as well. After, so once you've been in that realm and you've seen the impossible become possible, then you keep even digging for more. And that's what took me along the track of studying my PhD in integrative medicine, which is all things quantum. So that's sort of where I'm at and what I'm doing within the spaces and those that come into my realm is now even going higher up into looking at the metaphysical and looking at, really empowering people to understand that all that we have, all that we need, we have already inside of us. So that's what I'm excited to share, because it's like all this knowledge is there, yet so many people are unaware of the power that they hold within themselves. So that's kind of what I've been up to.
Awesome. So there's quite a few advocates out there that people might have heard of. They may not have heard of, but some of the listeners will have, like Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza. And I know that you've interviewed Bruce yourself.
Yes, I have. I've been blessed and really honoured to be able to have some good conversation with Dr. Bruce Lipton on a one-to-one. So, and a lot of that they are leading in that realm. Of course, he was a big discoverer or part of the discovery of epigenetics as well. And but this was years ago. And when you look at that work, I mean, it's black and white. There's no denying the proof of and the validity of the work that he's done. Yet, in the Western world, we're still catching up with that. It's still not well-known knowledge that you are not governed by your genes. We're still stuck in this paradigm of, Newtonia is what I call it, the land of Newton's law, where people are trying to change physical with physical. Which of course you can, it just takes a heap longer. Mm-hmm. So, when you're looking at that work of Dr. Bruce Lipton and which is also very much in line with Dr. Joe Dispenza's work as well, Greg Braden, some of those really wonderful names that have trailblazed for us and brought the quantifiable data or the proof, shall we say, to the woo. So yeah, all of that line of work is absolutely fascinating.
Bringing the proof to the woo. I love that.
Yeah, hold on a second. This is my big doll. Can
Which
you be quiet just for a minute? This is Dexter. Dexter likes to have his a chat and a conversation. So really, that's what I look at it in their work, is that they've brought the science to the woo, and being that, you know, we've been indoctrinated in this the way of being that we are, that we need proof for things, we need evidence for things, and I'm sure you've seen it as well, even when working with frequencies, that, you know, you can have an amazing response, and an undeniable one that the person themselves experiences. However, if they're so indoctrinated in the Western belief, then they can go home, Google it, and go, not really any evidence for this kind of thing, and then go, therefore it doesn't work. It's like, well, hang on a minute, what did you just experience, right? So, you know, we're in this funny space, I suppose, of breaking out of, I believe at the moment, where we're really moving away from that Western approach, and taking our power back, and understanding that we, as I said before, have everything that we need to be able to fully restore from anything inside of us, and we just need to stop giving our power to other entities that really don't have our best interests at heart.
No, for sure. And, like, you know, it's a huge paradigm shift that I went through myself when I discovered frequencies, as I'm sure you did. And I think there is a lot of movement in that now, from what I'm seeing with people. But as you said, there's still the people out there that you can change something using the frequencies, the physical, the light, the sound, whatever it is that your modality is. But then, no, it's not working. It can't be that. It's got to be something else, because you physically right, like manipulate me or something. So,
yeah.
And so it's part of the conscious belief systems, as you were saying as well, that, you know, the individual creates. So whether that's the nocebo, the placebo, or whatever effect they kind of want to put it down to, but there is an effect of healing. So does it really matter?
Exactly. And I've said this all along as well. It's like, well, the highest placebo, in fact, is linked with surgery. It's like a 40% placebo. So, you know, the more clinical you go, the more expensive something is, often is therefore then the most effective, right? So again, it's very much the power of the mind. And this is the thing that, you know, when I speak with people, it's like, we have the power to create anything we want. And we actually create everything that is. So whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly, we're creating it through our thought alone. There's nothing that moves faster in this world than the speed of light, than your thought, right? So, I mean, you think about, we're constantly broadcasting, especially when we're switching off into an autopilot, constantly broadcasting out without even knowing it, you know, the signature, an energetic signature that's combined with what we're thinking of, because of course that's electric, as you know, and then that the magnetism that's linked with those thoughts, or with that thread, or with the script that's running in the background, you know, that has the biochemistry attached to that, because, you know, everything that's happened has been coded within us. It's coded along the vortices, it's coded along in the chakras, and so we're constantly giving off a signature that, you know, we're unaware of. So that's we're coming into, as we're talking about beliefs before, like what are our personal beliefs, and this is something I speak with people a lot at the moment. Get real clear on what your personal beliefs are, because those are the power source and the foundation of who we are. Yet as we enter into this realm, you know, our beliefs are pre-programmed, I believe, before we come through. because of course everything's coded in through the DNA as well. So we're taking on our mother's beliefs, in particular we're taking on our, the father's beliefs also. The conditions on where we're conceived in have a really impact on us in terms of our experiences through this world as well. There's a lot of things that we just haven't paid any attention to because we're so distracted in this life, right? So go back to beliefs is a big thing, and a real big thing at the moment. I'm saying to people, just get clear on if you believe something, question why you believe it. And maybe we do believe, maybe after you've gone through and examined some of our beliefs, maybe we go, you know what, that is what I truly believe. So therefore hold on to that. But those beliefs that aren't serving us, like, for example, if you believe that the doctor, since we're talking about health, if you believe that a Western doctor is going to provide all the answers for you and is going to provide you good health, then if that's your belief, that's your belief. But if that's one that you've been passed down, then and you go, hang on a second, no, I've seen how I can repair and heal. We've got all of that already inside of us. So if we can then get clear on what is ours to carry and what's not, then that will definitely help us in terms of whatever you're trying to achieve, whether it's good health or manifesting in better experiences or wealth, money. Like, that's something tangible that people can really I guess look back and see progress on. So as we know with health, sometimes it's not as easy as to look at has it improved if I'm not comparing, say, for example, blood work or whatever. Sometimes because health and wellness, I believe, is very much in the moment. Like, how am I feeling right now? And that's all we ever have, isn't it? So
yeah, it's snapshot in time. And I think, like, as you were saying, unless you've got those objective, tangible markers there, we've been ingrained into this system. It's like, you've got to have the proof. But actually, the proof is a subjective thing, because if that one person feels better, they feel better. You can't take that away from them.
Exactly.
And you're going back to saying about, like, things passed down through generations, but also after birth as well. The first 7 years is so important, so important with acquiring these beliefs about the health and healing and forming opinions and that basis for stuff. So with regards to kind of like the quantum realm then, and the metaphysical realm, how can we promote wellness then? So somebody's, say, come through like these belief systems that we have, that you go to school, you go to university, you go and get a job, you work 9 to 5, like the old kind of patriarchal belief systems. They've come through that system. How can we support them in changing that paradigm through the quantum and the metaphysical?
Such a great question. Oh, look, it's my favorite space to be speaking of, or speaking about at the moment, because people are very much waking up to going, hey, hang on a second, things aren't quite what they seem, right? We are living in an upside down world, and we've given away our power for so long to a system that we've not really questioned, right? And once you get into as you keep seeking and looking for more, this is what I outline to people to start. It's like 4% of the world you live in, 4%, right, is the physical realm, is basically anything that you see. It makes up 4% of the space that we live in. So what's the 96% then? Like, what's the majority of this place that we live in? Well, it's invisible. It's invisible electromagnetic frequencies, right? There we are consciousness. So the physical body, the reason you see me, the reason I see you, the reason we see anything is because it's the end of everything in the universe in a way. So the physical form of the human body is the crystallized form of consciousness, right? What's consciousness? Consciousness is the field. It is what you can't see. It's everything that is. It's isness. You know, it's like everything. So when you kind of go, well, hang on a second. So my physical body is the crystallized form of this electromagnetic field. Therefore, and I'm a light body, because that's what we need also people to understand, is that we are light beings. Oh my gosh, I'll come to that in a second. But you start to sort of then go, there's universal laws. So there's laws in the land of Newtonia, right, which is Newton's world, which is the experience we're having. So we have time, we have gravity, we have things like that. Those are just warping of the environment that we live in, I suppose is how you could express that. So in this, if the majority of our existence is that we cannot see, right, and everything that occurs within us and then also in our external environment has occurred in the metaphysical realm, or the invisible aspect of our existence, which is 96% of it, like the majority of it, then we start to understand if everything occurs in that space first, in the subatomic layers, like where the energy forms are faster than, or as fast as the speed of light. So they exist as waveform, right? So it's when everything occurs there first, then you can start to understand that if you're trying to change something, you are going to be able to make a far greater impact by understanding how to access the invisible realm. You'll make far bigger gains in there that will then come through and show up in your physical body and also in your whatever's happening in your world, right? You'll get far more further faster if you work that space rather than trying to, you know, here you go out and exercise hard, eat healthy. Like, not to say you shouldn't eat healthy. So we eating and food and what you put in your mouth is important. Yes, it is. But the intention behind what you put in your mouth is far more powerful than what you're putting in what you're eating. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or if someone's trying to get fit or lose weight or improve their health or whatever, so they think, well, I'm going to start into this realm of physical exercise, right? And don't get me wrong, that's also very beneficial as well. But what I'm saying is that if people really want to make some gains, spend time figuring out how to access the invisible realm, because that's where everything occurs first. And it's 96% of the space we live in. So I like to say I'm someone who wants to get, as most people are, Dexter, maximum gains, right? Maximum gains for the least amount of effort. Like, mm-hmm. So then get into the metaphysical, because that's where all the data and the codes exist. That's where all the possibilities exist. Anything that hasn't occurred yet in the physical realm is still available. It's accessible to all of us. This is where miracles come from. Miracles, that are perceived as miracles, is because the possibility of somebody fully restoring from, some prognosis that they've been told there's no coming back from. Well, there's still the possibility of, being able to have full restoration, and it doesn't exist in this realm where things have already come to pass. It exists in that invisible. In those higher layers of what we might call higher vibrational layers, where everything is in waveform, and there's a particle at a point on a wave. It's tapping into the outcome of, let's say, full restoration of health. It's tapping into how does that feel if I was fully restored, and holding that feeling, that sensation in that moment in time, but constantly practicing being in that, because it's not just poof, there you go, you're all now fully restored. It's holding a state of being over a period of time, and that's where things eventually start to show up as you intend them.
Sure. So
hopefully that makes a bit of sense.
Yeah,
that's a lot to take in.
That's perfect sense. So essentially it's like you're rewriting a script essentially.
100%.
This is the way I kind of look at it, that you're empowering yourself to create your reality, because like you said, like the fastest thing is light, and we are light beings. Photons, we're just made up of its spin and wave and whatever, you know, whether you're in those realms, the chakras, whatever it is, it's electromagnetic fields. We can't see them, we can sense them, but the brain's like a sensor, if you like, a transducer, something like that, and we can feel the vibrations and the resonance. And if we're living in that higher resonance, like you said, we're creating more energy to do the things that we want to do. So yeah, to me this makes total sense.
Well, and you know, you've just tapped on something really interesting as well. It is about creating more energy. So when you know, I talk about alignment a lot with people all the time. I think this is the key thing to be doing as well, and that ties into getting our belief systems, because you've touched on chakras a wee bit too. And you know, we need to be holding our highest alignment, meaning that our highest state of being in terms of how are we feeling, our awareness of our energy at any moment in time. Because as soon as you are out of alignment, so I see alignment as like my highest state of joy, regardless of what's happening in the external environment, right? Like the more we sort of keep trying to find, you know, our thoughts are aligning with our feeling or how we feel and our state of being, and then being aware of that and holding that. Now, when we get knocked out of it, let's say somebody does something to us that makes us angry or frustrated or sad or anything like that, like emotions are energy in motion, and as we know, and emotions are meant to be experienced. That's the human experience. What happens though is that if you get enough of an emotionally charged experience that is a negative one, right, because they carry a lower, slower vibration, and they lower our body's vibration, you know, you are now out of alignment, your own alignment. But what happens is that all of this emotion that you're giving power to, right, or responding to or reacting to, what that emotion does, because it's biochemistry, and it ends up shrinking your own electric field around you. So your auric field shrinks and you become more dense, you become more anchored into this 3D, less light, right? So for those listening out there, the amount of light that we emit is indicative of the health of the system. We are designed to live a lot, talk about beliefs, we're designed to live a lot longer than what they tell us, because we've been so conditioned to the physical body. And so I say, well, you know, keep alignment, because as we were talking about a minute ago, like when we get knocked out of alignment, we end up squandering our own energy. And, you know, what does that look like? That looks like physical dis-ease. And so I always say to people, just, it's okay to feel, and it's healthy to feel emotions or that energy in motion, but acknowledge it, experience it, feel it, sense it, see it for what it is, and then allow it to move through. Because like anything else, it is like a wave. It's a wave form. Don't let it get stuck in you, because that's what ends up creating incoherence, or as we might know, stress in the system. So yeah, the quantum realm is the place to be, and it's really the only proven science that's out there as well. So, you know, we've proven that you know, all these other dimensions exist. It's easy as, and when you break everything down into actual code, there's basic code, because we're in a binary universe, right? There's basic coding of everything, and so you know, how much of these rabbit holes do we want to go down to?
Absolutely.
One thing I want to talk about, which I find really fascinating, is because we've spoken a little bit about chakras, and understanding that, you know, these are the energy vortices that emit us from the fields, right? So I always say that the teachings that I've come across have always spoken about how we emit an electromagnetic field, and the strongest, the most furthest felt is the one through the heart space, right? I've had a sort of real dig into this, and I actually believe it's the other way around. The field emits us. We don't emit the fields. The field emits us, right? Because when you look into it, as beings, we have semi-reflective cells all over the outer layer of our body, right? So holographic in a sense. And then if you look at within us, we have Bongham ducts that run between the lymphatic vessels and the cardiovascular vessels. What are these things? Well, the Bongham ducts were discovered, I think, back in the 60s, and there's only ever been one study on them, which makes me question as to why don't they want us to know about these things. So it tells us that we are, in a second, have a lovely day. So it tells us that that we are electrical. So if you have fiber optics that are running in between the extensive vessels that already exist. So as we know, the lymphatic system is hugely extensive from a vessel network, as so is the cardiovascular system as well. Now imagine little fiber optic cables running in between these everywhere those vessels go in the body. And you can only discover that through fluorescent imaging. So there's only been one study done on that. And as I say, that fascinates me, because why do we have fiber optics within us? For what? What's the purpose? Wow. Then you start going, okay, then. Well, as we're saying, we are light beings and we live in an electric universe. So the chakra wheels themselves, is the along the chakras. Of course, you have 7 pretty much within the body, or the 7th one's just outside, and then you have other chakras that extend out further in each direction as well, but we don't really discuss them a whole heap as much. But the thing with the chakras is that those power vortices is the energy centers, and from there outflow the meridians. So those that are familiar with acupuncture, right, and we understand that there are energetic lines that are traversing through the body, they outflow from the vortices. And so then you start understanding why they have prophesized about what they call a rainbow tribe of people. So and it's almost like what we're really experiencing globally is that, as we know, we've got all this oppression and corruption and all that kind of stuff going on, and that there's this new kind of wave of human beings that are here in this moment in time that understand what they are. They understand that, that we're light beings. And that's where the rainbow tribe or the rainbow body comes from, is that those meridians outflow from all of those chakras, which of course are the beautiful colors, the red, the amber, the orange, the green, the blue, the indigo, right? And so if all of our meridians outflow from these vortices, and we've got these fiber optic cables that are running through us, carrying these beautiful colors and lights and stuff throughout us, then we really are rainbow bodies. Or rainbow light beings. That's just why color therapy is so effective as well. Anything that has been dismissed or shut down or made fun of, in terms of the Western, in terms of medical realm, you got to take another look at that, because why have they wanted to shut that down? We know. But I'm talking to the anyone who's listening out there, start to question, the Western medical realm is really good for crisis management, and that's about it. They're not designed for long-term health and wellness, and they are in the realm of trying to change physical with physical, and it's just not effective.
Not efficient,
not at all.
Hard work. So very
exactly.
much like the chakras. Most people will have heard of chakras and they'll fall into two camps. What a load of crap. It's all woo. Or isn't that something to do with yoga? Most people don't know about like the colours and the meridians and that they're linked to organs and stuff. And something else I really wanted to touch on that I heard the other day that I thought was absolutely beautiful is that we are light beings, and that's where human comes from. So Hu is like the measure of light and man is us. And I was like, wow.
You've just gone full. Yeah. And this is the thing, in the language, everything is also in the language as well, really? Right? If we look back at language, and then if you go even further than that and you decode, you know, there's a coding, a binary coding for each letter as well. And so you can actually look at break everything down to a very basic, very simple code as well. And I know that's hard for people to get their head around, but you know, if we look at, say, frequencies, for example, as a modality, right? Of course, the therapy that we provide for people, the ANF therapy, which is, I mean, I'm going to plug it here. It's like, it's mind blowing in terms of the things that I know I've seen personally with my own eyes. I know you've seen a lot of the impossible become possible as well with frequencies. And I say to people, look, what you do is you've got to change your perspective on how we work as beings. Everything is a code, and it's our interpretation of that code that gives us this human experience. So, for example, you know, even if you wanted to talk about blood, the signal of blood flowing through the body, that's done through a neurological signal or a coding, what I like to look at it as a Morse code. And you could, but break it down, it even goes into the, you know, the universe runs on a binary code. So everything is a code. And then we've got the software integration within our system that gives us the experience. So once you kind of shift your perspective on what we are as beings, then we can start really taking off the limitations that have been placed on us and understanding everything you need to heal is within you. So these chakras, you know, along the chakra wheel, so these energetic wheels, they're measured. You can actually measure them. Even if you took out a pendulum, you could figure out whether somebody's chakra wheel is whirring or not. And that that I had to really get my head into as well. I'm so science-minded, so analytical. That left brain keeps coming in and going, yeah, but I need to know, does it work? Why? How does this work? How does this work? And then once I've analyzed it all and I've gone, okay, actually, yeah, that makes sense. And then you know, you can just integrate it, no problem. But you know, if there's subtle energies, if those energetic wheels are working, there will be a subtle energetic layer. We can, you know, you can sense maybe if you're attuned to energy as well. We've all got that power. Nobody's more special than another when it comes to using their hands for healing. Every single one of us hold it. But you know, when you hold on, where was I going with that? Because I've just lost that.
We were talking about the chakras and
yes, okay. Yes. Okay, so thank you. So the subtle energy layers are there, and if that you want them working, you want them powered up, you want to be able to identify, are they on or are they not? Because if they're not, it tells us there's a blockage within the system. It also means that any neural plexus that sits around that vortice, that energetic wheel, it means that that's likely not being powered very well, right? Because everything begins there first. But what I wanted to branch into is that as along the lines of the chakras and the vortices, it's where you hold what's called the morphogenetic codes. Now, this is what really gets me excited, because I'm like, what? So the morphogenetic codes are basically, I see them as these spinning, whirring, invisible, spiraling, abstract geometric kind of patterning and shapes and coding and things that really are kept deep along our core center, right? And they hold all the codes for everything that is within our body. So anything, like whether it's a cell or an organ or whatever, they hold all the codes. along the morphogenetic fields. And so this is, again, if we can understand how to tap into the energies that is us, that we are, and then align ourselves with the invisible realm where all possibilities exist, then that's where you can tune in like a radio station with those morphogenetic fields. They will pick up the codes, right? And then filter that into your either your physical body or into your physical experience. Time is an illusion. So I'm going, well, how long does this take, Jem? Well, time is an absolute illusion. Time is a program within a program to create a little bit of chaos in a way. It helps us with order as well, in terms of, it's going to take this long to get from A to B. However, it creates limitations also, especially when you're looking at health and wellness. If someone's given a prognosis, it's going to take you 3 months to get over this, or you've only got 3 months to live. Well, by placing time on something, you're already determining an outcome. And so, whether you attach a belief to that or not, will determine what that outcome is. Whatever you believe, that's why I said at the beginning, get clear on our beliefs, because whatever you believe will come to pass. For sure. And whether it's true or not, it's your belief, right? And I find, when you combine the chakras, the meridians, the morphogenetic fields, you start to understand how to utilize the tools and this, I call it it's almost the hardware that we have to help run us as to run the software programs that we are. And that is, again, if you're listening out there, I know it kind of you go, whoa, hang on a second, this checks out the gate. But, when you understand what we are as beings, then you can really start taking your power back.
It's about bringing that awareness, isn't it? So you can take the power back.
It is. You can't, and I've always said that you can't change anything if you have no awareness of what is. And I can't blame anybody who might be stumbling onto these types of podcasts and listening and and searching and seeking. I can't blame anybody for where they are at any moment in time, because we've been incredibly indoctrinated. None of this has been taught to us. And if somebody has been of this line of thought, then you're talking woo, right? And where's the foundations for this? Well, there's heaps. There's heaps of it.
I think we've probably both uncovered an awful lot of stuff over the last few years. I mean, going back to you saying about holograms, there's a chap, he's died now, but Dr. Harvey Biggleswade, and he discovered holograms in live blood. So he was doing live blood samples, and someone would come in with, like, say, a kidney problem, and he would see a hologram of a kidney in the blood sample. So he would know what to treat. And he could no longer treat in the US. He had to leave the US. He was hounded out, basically, down into Mexico. But luckily, his sons are, like, carrying on that work now. But it's all to do with light. So just coming back to those fiber optic links between the lymphatic and the vascular system, which really, really interests me, because that's the first time I've come across it. So potentially then this is the fiber optic broadband that's the light is traveling along, or the holographics are being transmitted along.
100%. And again, like I always go, how come there's only been one study on this? They don't want you to know. They do not want you to know, because as soon as you start to understand exactly what you are, then we're free of these big pharma control and handing our power over to of health and wellness to something external. So yeah, the fact that those fiber optics are just wild. I'll expand a little bit on that, I think, as well, because when you talk about holograms and fiber optics, and you've talked about, even from a blood sample, you can see, I hate the word diagnose, but you know what I mean, trying to figure out where the source is. Well, that's through the fact that we are a fractal pattern. Like, the past, present, future of us exists all at the same time, right?
I was hoping you'd mention fractals.
Yay, we're fractals. And so, you know, we are fractal patterns of ourselves. So, you know, we this is where all of that higher self comes into. You know, it's our highest expression of us. What is you know, the highest state of being. This is what I keep saying to people, like, figure out like how you're being at this moment in time, because that's going to govern everything that happens. Like, it'll be in every aspect of your life, right? So fractals, the past, present, future, where the fractals come in is that that's all we ever are, is just another version of ourselves. So we can imagine any kind of version of ourselves, and whether that's a version of ourselves in poor health, that exists, you know, and you could manifest that one up real fast, right? Because it is then just stepping into that version of ourselves. So I always say the pendulum can swing. If it can swing one way, if we can create dis-ease, we can create full restoration as well. It's just it's almost like the opposite. But that's where that the whole fractal comes in. And when you then go look, if you've had children, well, we're all a child of somebody, so we are a fractal pattern of our parents as well. And so it's oh gosh, you could go on forever about fractal patterns, really.
Absolutely. Well, when it comes down to it, you know, just like it is, like you say, like a repetitive kind of pattern. It's all throughout nature. We know that we're light beings. We're essentially like plants. We need sun, we need water, we need to ground, recharge our batteries, you know.
Well, we are a battery, right? You know, I mean, this is what's also fascinating. And you look back over the years and you go, well, they've done a great job in you know, limiting people as well. If you look at when they first started having rubber soles on shoes, so I mean, and that's to stop us from being able to earth and to balance within ourselves as well. So yeah, your the top of the body is positive, the bottom of the body is negative. The torus field, right, which is your biofield, as we were saying, we were talking about before, how we emit a field, or the field emits us, is actually how I believe it is. You know, another reason to having the chakras open and aligned is because the torus field spirals in one direction upwards around us, and then in another direction downwards around us. So it's like this invisible energetic web, a ball that is around us, and how they come from, they really kind of outflow from those chakras and meridians as well. So another reason to have chakras open and to be active and to be flowing energy through all of them, because I believe that's what our torus field or our biofield consists of. So if you have some chakras shut down, then you've got holes in your field, right? So if you've got holes in your field, then that's where, you know, someone can plug in energetically and just siphon from you without us knowing. But also you can't then fully access, I believe anyway, you can't fully access all of the dimensions that are available, because you're not threading through all of the grids, because you're missing some of that, some of your own torus field. So the interface isn't there. That's what I was looking for.
Sure. And like, for people that maybe listening to this and thinking, what the hell are they on about? Well, the easiest way to explain like your biofield is like, if you walk into a room and you get good vibes or bad vibes, it's like you're reading the energy in the room, you're reading the energy of the people in the room. If you pass by someone on the street and you get a good feeling or a bad feeling, that's your energy fields interacting. So whether you like it or not, folks, it's there.
Oh, it's so there, and you can use it to your advantage. That's the thing. Once you understand that, you know, this is what you and a lot of, I can just know a lot of pennies are going to be dropping for people, and they're going to be like, you know, like, this is where we talk about any resistance is resistance to everything. So when your biofield interacts with the environment, which it's constantly doing, you know, if you're getting a bad vibe off something, or if you're feeling like, you know, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I just don't feel good about this, or you're pulling out of something, or you're wanting to change your plans. Like, go with how you feel, because any resistance is resistance to everything. So we talk about being in flow and being in, you know, alignment and things. That's use your own body as your own gyroscope, or your own compass, your own North Star. It'll tell you if you're heading in the right direction or not, because your field interprets data faster than what our brain can conceive. And I was going to expand a little bit on the biofield and the Taurus field as well. And being that, oh shoot, hang on, it's come in and it's come out. I hate it when that happens. It's like, oh, it's so important, I'll tell you this, and then it's like gone. Hang on, I know it will come back to me. Never mind, we'll continue on.
Okay, so I'll jump in then with what you were saying about, like, you're listening to your body and using it as like a source of divination, if you like. You know, people do muscle testing and stuff, but if, for instance, I don't know, you've eaten something and it's not going down, you're finding it hard to stomach, or you've got waves of nausea, then to me, that's my body's way of saying there's an issue with the stomach. Or if you've got, you're fearful, then there could be an issue maybe with the kidneys, or if you're going through grief with the lungs, or if you're very angry or frustrated. So I think that again comes back to your meridians, your organs, your energy, and your wheels, your stagnation, and getting back into flow.
Yeah, and that everything is vibration, and gosh, you know, that all of that, we, as I was saying before, you know, we interpret things. I know where I was going, but your Taurus field and your biofield, you know, we're vibrating so fast. This is the thing, you know, people can kind of go, hang on a minute, whoa, back it up a bit. Like, when you understand that we're vibrating faster than what our brain can compute. So we're almost got like a 90s computer system, right? That is integrating and interpreting things that we're completely unaware of, because, you know, 95% of our existence is all through subconscious. So, you know, we're sending, receiving constantly information. And so when you with the biofields, its ability to know things, that's the knowing we talk about, you know, because again, we're vibrating so fast that our system can't compute. So what it does is it slows the vibrations down that you and I are. So I look solid, but I'm not, you know, on a quantum level, you know, we're not solid at all. It's just that then our interpretation, this is almost like universal coding. We've agreed that when we come into this human experience, that certain energies or certain frequencies are going to be this, and this. And so we, you know, it's our interpretation of what we're experiencing, but we are most definitely not what we think we are. No, whatsoever, which is super exciting. Can be scary for people, but, you know, you talked about fear before. I believe, as we know, fear is a way we can control people. Fear, if you set everything into a state of fear, then you've got massive stress hormones flooding the system. That puts everything onto protection mode, so nothing gets healed, nothing gets restored, right? That's what's happening simplistically from a physiological perspective. And so fear is anchors people massively, and is a way that we can control. But it comes down to energetics and vibration, right? They're lower vibrations, thus they slow everything down. They keep people stuck, and they're designed to do that, to energy drain.
For sure. So this is just such a great conversation. I'm going to bring it back a little bit, right, on this whole journey that you've been on, and I don't know whether you're just going to turn around and say everything, but is there anything about this journey that you didn't expect?
Yeah, actually. The one thing that I've really experienced recently, because of course anything that you focus on, where attention goes, energy flows, right? And so you open up more possibilities the more that we surrender, I think, into the curiosity of anything that is happening to us or for us, any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, you stumble more and more along the way. And I think for me, the biggest thing was the biggest thing I really uncovered recently is how powerful we all are, and how everything that occurs in our experience we've created. You know, like even coming down to I'm just trying to think, when you go, well, if I was, you know, just walking along and stepped off a curb and I rolled my ankle, well, how did I create that? Well, you know what, maybe that's in the metaphysical. You've been rushing, you've been carrying on, you know, there's meanings with everything that comes to us. And I feel the metaphysical is curious, and how our state of being is, and how much that controls what goes on with us as well. And then once you understand that and you can adapt that, then you can take more control of your own experience. So I think it's the metaphysical that's really just like really stepping more into it and understanding it more, that just blowing my mind in how much people how they create everything. And some people are going to be like, I didn't ask for this. Well, no, you may not have asked for it, but in a direct way. But what we're thinking constantly, the script that's running through our head all the time. So, for example, take some of the current narratives as well. If you believe in the narratives that were given, and you know, you're afraid of something, if you're fearful of something, let me tell you, anything you're fearful of, you will get. Mm-hmm. And that's just how it all works. So the idea is to not be afraid of death. That's a big thing. If you can get rid of afraid of death, then, you know, being afraid of an illness or a dis-ease, it doesn't hold any water either. We will manifest everything that we are fearful of.
For sure. And death is the only certainty in life. So
yeah, and we don't even die, and that's the exciting thing. You know, this
just move on to somewhere better, out of our skin suits.
This is a thing. And you know, when you look at it, you understand that, well, when you do die, this is what blows my mind. 0.00000000000000001 of you is all that is left. You know, the majority of 99.99999999999% of you still remains. So you're all but infinite. So there is no fear of death. And if you're somebody who does go into meditative states, or you know, you're wanting to go into those types of things, then you know, when you meditate, you start to really sense the quantum, or you sense the field, or you sense consciousness, because you can't, I'm just going to say here, you don't hear it, you don't see it, you don't, you know, it's not kind of a sensation as we know it. It's an awareness. It's an awareness of you as an energetic being, and it's awareness of the energy of everything around you. Like getting into that space, you can then start to experience the other dimensions anyway, and then you realize that you are infinite. Anything you want to know, past, present, future, exists already in coding. You can access that yourself. You don't have to have special powers. You have everything you need inside of you. It's wild.
Yeah, so profound, but it's so true. So just to finish up then, this is a question that I asked to all my podcast guests. So what does mindful wellness mean to you?
Mindful wellness mean to me? Well, it's kind of tying up nicely with what we were just talking about. Whatever's in your mind. If you think you are, you know. So being mindful, having an awareness of the script that's running when you're not paying attention is the biggest thing. So everything that bubbles to the surface, any thought that doesn't serve us, right, whether it's linked to health or not linked to health, if it's not in alignment with you, then it will manifest in some form of dis-ease, either within your physical body or within your outer environment, right? So mindful wellness, it tells me, we hold the power to create our wellness, to create our dis-ease. So be mindful as much as you can. And it's an art, it's a practice. It doesn't have to be sitting there, for hours on end or anything like that. It's about going, pulling our power back to ourselves. What are the thoughts that are running through my head at the moment? Do they have any foundation? Are they serving me at all? Yay or nay? Cancel, delete, rewrite if you need to, because the mind is the most powerful tool. It's the most powerful thing that exists. And so we don't need to outsource anything. Go in with just be mindful, and wellness will follow. It can't not.
Awesome. So I knew this was
literally that easy. Yeah.
So, if you'd like to find out a little bit more about Jem and the ways that she works, you can find her on Instagram at QueenieG888 and on Facebook as Queenie G, and I'll put those show links into the show notes. So thank you so much for joining us today, Jem. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the consistency, and thanks for putting up with me as is.
Always.
And and all the work that you're doing, and I really admire and I really honor the platform that you're providing, not only for other people who are in this line of work as well, and shining the light for others, but for those that are lucky enough to stumble across the podcast and the work that you're putting out. So thank you for your very being as well.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Simply Mindful Wellness podcast. Join us next time for a new episode.